Hi 2G, we are back with week 6 with writing. Remember, we are continuing our argumentative letter. So by now, if you followed exactly the plan that was laid out, which you don't have to, you might not be here yet, but getting there, you would have started your letter about how to help the environment, and you would have done your intro paragraph. You would have done your intro paragraph, and you would have started your body paragraphs too. I've done 2 body paragraphs so far. I need to work on a 3rd. So we're finishing up that body of our letter. And remember, we were using our 3-column writing organizer to help us. We used this chart and we put in the actions that we were going to use in our writing, and then specific actions people can take to do these things. So for day 1, for Monday, what you're going to be doing is finishing up the body of your letter. Make sure that you reread what you wrote already and ask yourself, does this make sense, before you continue? And then you're going to begin to revise your letter. You're going to want to go back through the format of a letter and make sure you have all the parts of the letter. You're also going to make sure you have included these actions in the descriptions for each action. So if I go back to my letter, let's see where I was. So I had gone back and I have my date, I have my greeting, I have an indent at the beginning of my first my introduction paragraph, and I said why I was writing and what I was going to tell him to do. Then I have my first body paragraph where I talk about spending more time in nature. And I have my next body paragraph that talks about using reusable grocery bags. And now I could be on to my 3rd body paragraph, and that's what I would want to do. And if I'm looking at my chart, my 3rd body paragraph for me would be turning off electronics when not in use. So when I write that paragraph, I'm going to make sure I'm going to indent, remember, at the beginning, and then I'm going to talk about unplugging chargers and using one device at a time and shutting down your devices all the way, not just closing the screen. And when I'm done with that, that's when I'm going to want to go back and I'm going to want to look at the format of writing a letter and making sure I had all those parts. So let's look at that together. Remember, we've looked at that. We want to make sure that we have the date. We want to have a greeting. Make sure your commas are in there in the greeting and in the date. We want to have an indent. We want to have our main message, which is our body paragraphs and our introductions, why we're writing. We want to have a closing, which might be love or sincerely or yours truly, depending on who you're writing to. You have a comma after that closing. And then lastly, you have a signature, right? You want to make sure you include that signature. So right now, let's go back and let's take a look at my writing. For now, I'm not going to have you sit here and write me watch my letter. You did that last week. But let's say now I need my closing, right? So since this is my brother, since he's not a stranger, I could use love. I could use sincerely. I could use whatever closing I want, right? I'm going to go with your sister. All right. And I'm going to remember that this needs to be capital. And I'm going to do your sister. I can't forget that comma. Samantha. And that's my name, right? My signature. So now I would think, am I done with my letter? I don't know. Come back tomorrow and see what I need to work on now, okay? All right, this is where you would pause for Monday. All right, we are back on Tuesday. It is very important, and no matter any type of writing I'm doing, if I'm writing a story, if I'm writing a letter, if I'm writing a checklist, I want to make sure I revise and edit and make sure I have everything I need. This is when, again, you could go back through the format of a letter that we looked at earlier and make sure you have all the parts of a letter you need. Also, make sure you've included from that 3-column chart that you have your 3 actions and the descriptions for each action. Make sure you have your intro paragraph and your concluding statement that tells the reader why you're writing. Uh-oh. Did I do that yet? Have I wrote a concluding statement? Not yet. That's what I would put at the end of my 3rd paragraph, right? So before I even did my closing, right? And my signature, I need to have a concluding, a final statement. So I'm going to write it right here below, and really, since I'm editing, I would write it above, right, and then erase. But to show you, I'm going to write it below. So I need to say, I might even say so. So, to help the environment, you should spend more time in nature, comma, because this is a list of things. Use reusable grocery bags and turn off electronics. And remember, since this is editing, my closing statement, I'm going to draw an arrow, would go behind my last body paragraph before my closing and my signature. So that is going to wrap up Tuesday and what you need to do. You're working on revising and making sure you have a concluding and intro paragraph, right? You need your intro paragraph introducing your writing in your letter, and then a concluding statement, just like I wrote, that tells your reader why you're writing to them. All right, I will see you back for Wednesday. All right, here we are, Wednesday. We are still editing. I'm going to just today remind you of things to look for when you're editing. You're looking for correct spelling. Make sure you are sounding everything out, correct? Make sure you are making sure your story makes sense and we can read your writing. Punctuation, so important. We are writing as about to be 3rd graders. We are writing complete sentences, and complete sentences have punctuation, like exclamation points, periods, commas, or I'm sorry, not commas, that's not punctuation. Silly Miss G. We are using exclamations, periods, question marks. You need all types of punctuation in there, right? So look for words that you think do not look right and try to spell another way, or use your resources to fix it, okay? If you have a word and you're like, I don't even know what I was trying to say, no problem. Read through, sound it out, and then try to spell it again. Make sure all of your punctuations are in place and you're using the correct ones. So before I was talking about ending punctuation, right? Comma is a type of punctuation, but we know that goes in different places. Typically, it does not go at the end of a sentence. It goes behind something like our greeting or our date, between the day of the month and the year, or if I'm making a list. Those are the places you might want some commas. So look out for that. All right, that will wrap up your Wednesday. All right, we're back on Thursday. Again, Thursday we're maybe still editing a little more, but really now we want to add more to our story. If you have the time and you want to add more, add pictures or illustrations to support your ideas. This is going to add some more to your ideas and something your reader will really enjoy receiving. I know all of you are so creative and love to draw, so this is that time. Get out those colored pencils, get out those markers, start drawing some pictures that add to what you said. Draw pictures of reusable grocery bags, draw pictures of planting a garden or trees. Add all that in. That's really gonna make your reader enjoy your story even more, and it will be more convincing, more argumentative. All right, keep up the great work, guys. Lastly, you have made it to Friday. It is time to mail your letter. First, what I want you to do is I want you to email your letter to me. So have your parents help you with this. Have them email me your letter. If you want to send more than one letter, there are different ways to mail your letter, right? Remember to change the letter if you send more than one, right? You need to change your greeting, who you're writing to. So you could get help to send the letter in the mail. You could email your letter to a friend or a family member, or you could hand deliver the letter to someone you live with. So those are all wonderful options of how you could send out this letter. And I know you guys worked so hard on it, so please send it in some way, and I would love to read it. So I look forward to getting those emails with your letter. Great work, 2G. Way to get through writing and do